Hey, crafty babes. This is Andrea. I'm excited to share all of my new weekly memories pages with you. I shared a bit about going to this format, and I have a YouTube video about that. So if you are unsure about what I'm going to share, you can start by looking at that video and just getting the sense of how I arrived at this format. And then I will also link in the description my templates that I use, as well as the cover. This is a cover from Martha Stewart, so it's just a disc bound. It's supposed to be a notebook. It comes with notebook paper. I also picked up the larger set of rings. I think these are 1.5 inches. This is this is really full. It's like super full. I think that I'll probably need 2 of these for 2020, or I just might need some really gigantic rings. I'd be okay with really big rings, or 2 maybe this size. But the covers themselves are only $30, so it's right around the same price as like a ringed album, like a 12 by 12 or a 9 by 12 ringed album if I were to be using pockets. So I don't feel like I've started spending more money. In fact, I feel like I've spent less because I don't need any pocket pages, which is super good. So let's dive in to this album. I went back to July. When I started this format, it was late October, early November, and I had already prepped up to week 28 in my pocket pages, which means I had already selected the cards. I had already filled in the cards and photos into the pockets, and I had done that in a batch situation. Like I had done like 10 weeks of that so that I could go back in and just do the journaling and the embellishing at a later time. And so once I realized that this might be a format I wanted to try, I just started with the current week that I was in, and that was week 44. And so we'll see that in here soon. Once I realized that it was definitely a go and that this is what I wanted to continue, I did not prep any other pages after this week in my pockets. I basically just changed the format completely for my pictures going forward, and this is where we are. So I will have a 9 by 12 album from weeks 1 to 28, and then I will have this album from weeks 29 to 52, and then starting in 2020, I have this same exact format. And this is what it is, basically memory planning. I'm sure that if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen that I have totally moved into this format. So many other girls are doing it, and I'm having a blast with this format. It's so much fun. What I'd like to do is just kind of quickly talk about how each page kind of came together, what changes I've made kind of as the weeks progressed, and just what I love most about it. So this is week 29. It's bright and summery. A lot of these cards here are from, it's called Lemonade from Little Lamb Paper Co. And then I've got some Studio Calico stuff and some crate paper stuff. I used the Poolside collection that was released digitally, and I actually picked it up last year sometime, but ended up using it since we've got summer going on. So this is a template that I made, and this is my dated template. So I had already typed in all of these dates and days of the week, and then I would print it out like that with this. There was a square here for the week and a little box here for just kind of whatever I wanted to fill in, and then boxes down here for just little extra things. This template was inspired by Shannon_pages, Shannon Manton, and she started doing this digitally on 8 by 10, and so I just quickly made my own, put my own fonts in, and made the boxes the size that actually is the ratio of a 3x4. So I can take any of my 3x4 photos and then just shrink it right from the corner. All the ratio stays exactly the same. And then they fit inside of these boxes. What I'm doing is I'm actually gluing the right side of the previous week and the left side of the next week together after I've already made them. I would not be comfortable working on this page if I had all of this stuff on the back as I'm trying to work on them, and I don't mind the extra bulk. I might get to the point at, sometime when I will decide to print front and back, but probably not. I want to make things easier, and I want to be able to change up some layouts if I need to. So here is week 30. I have kind of tried to stick to this being the weekly box. So I have a little template for what size paper this is. And then I'm just cutting up at this point, Project Life cards that I already have. I'm just kind of cutting them down, seeing what fits inside the smaller square, and loving that I can take something this big and put it over several boxes, and I feel so free to create while still maintaining some structure within the grid. I just feel like it's the best of both worlds and best of things that I need for my personality and how I feel most creative. Week number 31, lots of white space and lots of things that come across the pages. Now at this point, these templates were meant to go inside of a 8.5 by 11 page protector in a 3-ring, or in my 6-ring. Wait, okay. I'm just spitting out numbers for no reason. I was originally going to try to keep the rest of the year in my 9 by 12 album. So I bought 8.5 by 11 page protectors and then punched 2 extra holes in it to fit in the ringed album. So these original pages were not really meant or designed for the ARC system, but I punched through them anyway once I decided that these were just not going to fit in that 9 by 12. So I just kept the pockets separate from the weekly memories. So you'll see that some of the punches feel really close to the edge, and that is the reason why. So week number 32, again, consistently also using the Carrie Bradford stamps so that I can try to have just one less thing to really think about. I like using one similar stamp throughout. It just helps to not have too many things to think about when you have a whole page of things to think about. Something else that I love being able to do is using these big florals and using art marks that I normally would have only been able to use in my 6x8 personal album, or a traveler's notebook kind of situation where it was more like an art journal and not pocket pages. So having the ability to use a lot of the supplies that I have loved and kind of couldn't use in my weekly pockets is really super fun. Oh, I got a little runaway M. Week 33. Oh, this was such a fun page, just so full of color. Some things I did differently here, I think, were not filling up this whole entire box and just using it as a little area for cluster. In the future, actually, as I'm recording this, but in the future of these pages, I will be making and also releasing a second version of these because I do sell these. But I have developed a minimalist version instead, as well as a version that has Monday through Thursday on this side and Friday through Sunday on this side, and having the extra space be on the right, just so that there's a little bit of a difference. And that way, maybe if there was a big weekend thing and you needed to use that layout for just using the whole right side for your entire weekend, that would be a good reason to use that format. Week 34. These colors, the blue and pink and yellow, oh my gosh, so much fun. Sometimes I will decide to let you know what month it is. I feel like because all we have here is just a date and a day of the week, I felt like with this format, I really needed to make sure that I knew where I was in my month. Also, this is when I started doing a little bit of pre-journaling, which I normally don't do, but I happened to just kind of be in the mood to just go type some stuff real quick. And I just typed it on sticker paper, and then the places that I was going to journal, I just plopped it down. This is also when I started actually resizing my Project Life cards before I printed them out. I still do cut down cards and paper, but if I'm printing a new set, I will throw them into my photo template just like I would photos. And then I'm ending up and giving myself a true to size, true to ratio card that can be used just like it would be in a 3x4 size. I'm just making a little smaller for myself. Week 35 is still August. This is the end of August. We have started homeschool, and the colors are just so super bright, and I love the greens and yellows and blues and pinks, like such a fun combination. Finding different ways to like make little clusters in the areas that I have. That's been super fun. This was really fun to just basically use yellow, a lot of yellow, and a little tiny bit of blue in these photos, but I feel like it pulls it all together. This was super fun. Sometimes it just helps to print photos in black and white that might have a little too much color. I mean, technically he was wearing a black hoodie and gray sweats, so he wasn't messing with the color scheme or anything. But this photo, Marshall, he likes to go sit inside of like the big boxes of things in Sam's Club. And so this photo was very distracting. So I knew that when I looked at the pictures of the week, and I knew that photo was kind of clashing, it just was easy for me to turn it black and white. And then I could do this whole black and white and yellow spread. And please let me know if you have any questions. You can just leave them in the comments. I always get back to you guys. We are starting to get technically into fall. It's not really, because it's September and we live in California, and that means that it's basically summer until like November. But I still really wanted to use all of my new fall goodies from the Reset Girl, and they matched really well with the newest Felicity Jane kit that came out, and I was just like really ready for fall photos and fall scrapbooking and fall supplies. So that's just what we did. Well, that's what I did. This is also stitched. I went and took this to my sewing machine and stitched around that week number. Did a little masking on this week number as well, where I just put a little strip of paper across the 3 and the 7 before I stamped it, and then took that off and stamped it without anything there so that I had room for the weekly review. Week 38, I did a little something here with one of my weekish stamps. And I just let week kind of hang across the edge and cut it off. Let's see. Nothing else really super fascinating about this particular layout. A lot of stamping. Some of these are just a little tight in here. This is one of my absolute favorites. I loved using the Hexies. A lot of these are from a TRG collection that came out. And then just some Studio Calico stuff. This whole scheme just is like super duper cute and cozy. A little bit more journaling for this week. I had a little bit more to say, and that was really helpful because I didn't have as many photos. Week number 40, got to use some older die cuts and did a lot of stamping. Let's see what else. I love making lists. It's like the easiest way to journal for me is just making lists. At this point, I was still trying to kind of figure out what things looked like how I was able to balance things out. And I started doing like something similar, like a similar pattern in either, top or bottom or the corners, just to try to make things feel balanced. Week 41. This was something fun. I had this was a card. I think this was from Feed Your Craft, and they had a card that was just these ink splatters. And so I sized it down, printed it on sticker paper, and then placed it on top of a colored piece of cardstock, which was really fun. A lot of pictures of Marshall's birthday party, so I use these little extra boxes down here in order to do some journaling about it. And then here I used a little ledger and then stamped the dates just because I didn't have anything else to really do. And I thought that would be fun. Week 42, just kind of had to run with whatever colors I had in my photos, which is kind of typically what I would do in a pocket page. Other than that, I just really love, I really love feeling it. I really love like the fact that I can touch these things and that things aren't all just stuck underneath plastic. This was fun to be able to start using 4x6 cards that I printed in basically the width of two photos, so that I can have a little bit of flexibility and still use those 4x6 cards that come in all the digital kits. And here's when I did like a nice triangle of one particular pattern so that it all felt like cohesive. A lot of fall colors starting to come in. So I was able to pull in some like mustards and pinks and greens and blues together, which was really fun. This was the very first page that I did. So this is the page that made me fall in love with the format. And as you can see, it's really super fun. I put a star here to indicate that it was a new month. I used my Illustrated Faith stencil stamp to say Halloween here. And just the color scheme itself was super fun. And everything's fun. There's nothing not fun about this format. Moving on, it is now November, and I am so happy that I can go back to using the Studio Calico month marker cards. That was one of the things I was a little bit sad about with moving out of pockets, because I really looked forward to those in my subscription kits. And now I actually don't get the subscription kit. I just buy the cards in a digital format. They're $5.99. So the benefit of buying them digitally is that, number one, I will resize all of them, and I don't have to choose front or back like you do when you've got the actual 3x4 card. I can print every single one of them and I get more for my money. And I can also print ones that I don't think I would ever use. So that's been really super convenient for me. And just if you're a little confused about how I get the pictures and the cards this size, the layout template that I sell comes with the photo template. So it comes with a template that will give you photos that you can pop into the template, and then you just trim them and they become this size, and it leaves a little bit of white space around the box. Week 46, we're starting to get into Christmas. My house is decorated by this point. I'm having fun with a lot of the Christmas supplies that I had left over from my December project. And so what I did, I knew that I would have to come back in and do, November and December pages after I was done with my December album. And so I kept some stuff out that I wanted to use. And the next, several pages have some Christmassy elements to them, as you'll see. And that's just, I was glad that I was able to move my Christmas things into this album as well and use them in both places. So here, actually, there is a process video for this layout. And this is a layout that I just did today, the day that I'm recording this video. There is not a process video for this because I just put it together. But what this is basically, it's my template, option number 2, undated. So I basically left these blank and used it for a title instead, and used this for a basically one-day event. So we went and took pictures around our river and our downtown area, our historic bridges and things like that. And I just used the whole thing for just photos that we took. And that's what's really nice about the blank templates is that you can use them for this, and you don't even have to date them. You don't have to use them as a calendar. You can just use them as a grid layout. So this is the minimalist version where there are no boxes down here. I've scooched the boxes up just slightly so that there's enough room for a strip of washi tape. And then this side is completely blank now. So there's no box for the week and there's no long box for anything else. It just gives you the freedom to kind of do whatever you want at the top. On the side, and then there's still plenty of room on the top to do any kind of stamping combination. And if you we're paying attention to these, there's lots of different ways that you can use. So these obviously are the older version or the dated version. They still do come with an ability to put your own font in and pre-print them like that, or print them blank and then do your own stamping, or you can use stickers. These are both Carrie Bradford stamps. I'm typically going to be using Carrie Bradford stamps along with my Weekish stamp set that's available at Citrus Twist Kits. And this layout is basically using the Indoorsy kit from Tracy Reed Designs. I think that's available at Sweet Shop Designs. Week 48, there is a process video out for this one as well. And here I did some stamping in different colors that were kind of based on this top border. This is using mostly items from the Better Together release for February at Illustrated Faith's Print and Pray shop. It was Thanksgiving week, and the colors in the photos just were like, you need to use the red and the pinks and the yellows, and it was so much fun. This is week number 49. And as you can tell, now we're back to the dated format because I have done a lot of these pages out of order. Just because that's just how things worked out. And I love being able to do that because it doesn't matter what's going to be on the next page or what's going to be on the previous page, like it would in a pocket page. So I had the freedom to kind of jump around and do whichever weeks I felt like I needed to work on at that time. A couple of things here. I used a little vellum to make a pocket for this little, this was basically the key tag that was on, the key for my son's car when we bought it. And I just did a very simple decoration in the corners, just kind of added some stamping. The pictures I felt were really dark and heavy, so I didn't want to do a ton of embellishing. And then here now we're back to an undated format. And this is undated format option number 2 because the open space is on the right. I used some big number stamps, and then I used my Pebbles alpha and number roller to type in or stamp in the days of the week. I said that really fast. Sorry. So this is just a combination of like some vintage things that I've purchased, Citrus Twist, Studio Calico, Illustrated Faith, another vintage thing, lots of stuff. I just really wanted to use the color scheme of pink and red because that's kind of just what felt right with the photos. And I wanted just to use some neutrals like some grays and blacks. And week number 51, we are almost to the end of the year. I had been jonesing to use these big, the block days of the week again, from Carrie Bradford. And then I used my 8-digit number stamp technically, for the dates there. And then I also finally got a chance to use this December vellum piece from Whimsy Fox Crafts. I love how it fits right down there. And then I've got a little cluster of hearts. And I started just telling myself it was okay to put the week number inside of the squares, especially those times when I'm kind of low on photos. Like here, I only have 5 photos. So I really needed to fill it in with stuff, and it just worked out. I don't have to put the week number on the outside. I can incorporate it. It's all good. It's so freeing. We can do whatever we want. And then this is actually week 52, but technically, even though I only have it dated through the 29th, it does include everything up through the end of the year. I originally was going to print a final page that was going to have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on it, like just one more of these pages. I just didn't have enough photos to really fill that up. And this felt like I could just do the whole thing all on one and then just be done with 2019. And there is a process video for this as well that should be out by the time that you're able to watch this flip through or this look inside. So that is my 2019 is finished as far as this format is concerned. I do have about 6 or 8 weeks left in my pocket pages that are prepped. I'm just kind of not really motivated to go back in and do any decorating or journaling, and I might at some point, but I feel okay knowing that the photos are in there. They're not just hanging out in some, random box somewhere. They are organized. If anybody were to flip through those albums in 30 years and see that they feel unfinished, the photos are still in there. And you know what? You'll live. That's my advice as a mother. You'll live. It's really not something that keeps me awake at night. So, and I know that does bother some of you guys. If that's something that bothers you, then I guess that's a motivator to go back and get them finished. For me, I would rather move forward and just know that at least I have those pages prepped. And if I ever do want to go back to them, I might. So anyway, let me know if you have questions about this. I will be having, like I said, I will have soon, hopefully by the time that this video is out. And if they are released, I will have them in the description. I'm hoping to have the new version 2 of my weekly layout pages along with new photo templates. There's going to be actually a photo template bundle that'll have easy Photoshop and InDesign templates for 3x4 cards, 4x6 cards, and traveler's notebook sized photos and cards. So I hope you guys enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk soon. Bye.